Labor will be hoping that history is on its side when voters in the Brisbane seat of Griffith return to the polls tomorrow. Terri Butler is Labor's candidate in the seat of Griffith. She joins us now from the suburb of Bulimba. Terri Butler, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm very well. How confident are you heading into tomorrow's election?
Well, I'm under no illusions. It's going to be very tight. And that's why I'm working so hard to ask every voter before tomorrow at 6 p.m. to come out and to vote for me.
History is very much on your side, though, isn't it, Terri Butler? It is extremely rare for governments to win by-elections.
Well, every seat is different and every by-election is different. But what is on my side at the moment is that people want someone with a positive plan for our future. They want someone who will be a genuine strong voice, not someone who'll have to toe the Tony Abbott and Campbell Newman line, not someone who'll just be a rubber stamp for the government. OK, well, that's criticising the other side. What plans have you got? Well, I've been speaking to people about things like access to quality childcare. I'm a young mum myself. My husband and I have got 2 small kids, and we really understand the pressures that families are under. We've also been talking about better schools. It's quite disappointing that the Liberal National Party government have not honoured the commitment they made before the federal election to be on a unity ticket on education funding. But I'll be calling for better schools funding because I believe that's the role of a local member. And importantly, I've been talking to people about healthcare. I believe that the role of a federal member is to speak out for the interests of the community when it comes to healthcare. And I'm a bit disappointed that Dr Glasson previously defended the Newman government cuts to healthcare spending. But that's why I'll always work hard to call for proper healthcare, affordable healthcare when people need it, not just when they've got money in their back pocket. What are the key healthcare issues federally that you'd like to have a say on? Well, I'd really love for the Abbott government to rule out the GP tax. I think people think it's a little bit too convenient that we're not going to know before the by-election what the Commission of Audit is going to recommend, what cuts we can expect under the Commission of Audit. The Abbott government has been playing a bit of weasel word games with the electorate about the GP tax, but it's time they either came clean and admitted they were going to do it or ruled it out properly. Well, Bill Glasson, in our interview on the program half an hour ago, did just that. He ruled it out. Well, I think he said that there would be no plans at the moment for the GP tax, and that's the same weasel word language that we've been hearing from the LNP, because as they've been saying there's no plans in one city, they've had people in other cities admitting that this is still on the table in the Commission of Audit. So that's why I'm saying this is trickery and weasel words from the LNP, and people don't actually trust the LNP. I mean, look at their promises before the election. No cuts to defence, no cuts to education, no cuts to the ABC. And yet what are we seeing? We've seen a failure to honour the Gonski commitments. We've seen cutting diggers' pay, and we've seen a so-called efficiency review into the ABC and the SBS to try to find cuts. Industrial relations, as you all know, has been a very big, a very hot topic political issue this week. What's your view on Paul Howe's, the union leader Paul Howe's view that industrial relations in Australia is nothing more than a blood sport and both unions and employers need to act like grown-ups? Well, Paul Howe is entitled to make comments and union leaders are entitled to disagree with each other. But really that issue is about how much consensus can there be when you've got Tony Abbott, who is renowned for mindless negativity and a complete failure to come to any sort of consensus-based discussion around industrial relations. Well, Paul Howe was also putting the pressure on unions too. Well, I'm interested in jobs, and if you want to talk about upsets this week, how about Sharman Stone coming out and criticising the Liberal National Party government for their failure to invest in jobs in the Valley? It's really disappointing, and I think that the Liberal National Party government should be looking at themselves very closely. Why the inconsistency on industry policy, and why don't they back keeping Australian jobs in Australia? I just want to go back to that question. You come to this candidacy as an employment lawyer, an industrial lawyer with the law firm Morris Blackburn. What is your view? What is your view on the attack on unions and employers, but on unions too, by Paul Howe this week? Well, my view about the Fair Work Act is that it largely gets the balance right. I'll tell you what's not my view. My view is not that the government's role should be out there trying to take the penalty rates of hard-working Australians. People like. But I'll bring you back to the question, Terri Butler. I was asking you about Paul Howe's speech this week. Well, actually, you asked me about my view about employment and industrial relations laws, and I was giving it to you. As I've said to you, I think the Fair Work Act largely gets the balance right, but as I've said, I'm also disappointed that we're seeing unprecedented attacks on penalty rates from the federal government, and I don't think that people are going to put up with that. People really deserve their penalty rates. We're talking about hard-working Australians who are I think, entitled to a proper day's pay for a proper day's work.
Do you feel voters will be entitled to feel a bit cranky, Terri Butler being forced to go back to the polls by Kevin Rudd's resignation after he had committed to serving a full term of Parliament so close to when the federal election was?
Actually, a lot of people have said to me that they're really happy to have the chance at the ballot box to express a view about the Abbott and Newman governments. We've actually seen really a terrible first 5 months from the Abbott government, and people don't really want to send a tick of approval to that government. It's an opportunity that not a lot of people have in this country at the moment, and that's to express a view at the ballot box about this government.
And finally, how close do you believe it'll be? We all know it's going to come down to preferences, Terri Butler, but how razor edge will be the result in your view tomorrow night?
Look, I think it's extremely close. That's why I'm asking everybody, please turn out and vote. If you want to send a message to the Tony Abbott LNP government, don't forget to turn out and vote tomorrow at the by-election. Your vote will count. It is very important.
Terri Butler, good luck tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been great.